it'll go down for 2-3.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 5:30. The date is December 13th, 2023, and welcome to the Amityville Union Free Student Board of Education. Present at the meeting tonight is myself, President Ms. Johnson, First Vice President Jeanette Santos, Second Vice President Carol Tiboff, Trustee Dave Heller. Absent is Trustee Leslie Kretz and Trustee Juan Leon. Juan Leon is expected to attend the open meeting. Also present tonight is Superintendent Dr. Gina Calvert, Assistant Superintendent Dr. Joe Lang for, I should say, Assistant Superintendent of Human Research, Dr. Brent Hunter, and Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations, Olivia Watson. Also present in executive session now is the deputy, no, I should say the consultant clerk, Christian Coe. At this point in time, it is 5:31. Can I have a motion to go into executive session for matters pertaining to particular person's employment history? Update and discussion of negotiations for the ATA, as well as update regarding confidential secretary. So moved. Second, Harold Seehoff is first. Jeanette Santos is second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We expect to resume open at 7:30 this evening. Thank you.
The meeting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you can kindly take your seats, we're going to get started with the meeting at this time. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Amityville Union Free School District School Board meeting, December 13th, 2023. The meeting is being called, I should say the meeting is resuming open at 7:32. The Board of Education met in executive session earlier this evening for advice from counsel regarding particular person's employment history. Also, update regarding ATA negotiations, as well as update regarding confidential secretaries as well. At this point in time, please note the exit is clearly marked. Take a moment and silence your cell phone. As you are aware, smoking is not allowed on school grounds. Please stand and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. As a reminder, before I hand the meeting over to Dr. Talbert, board members as well as cabinet, when you are speaking, please speak directly into the mic so therefore the audience can hear you as well as individuals who are at home. Thank you. Dr. Talbert.
Thank you, President Johnson, and good evening to our colleagues, the community, and to our Board of Education. Tonight, we have a wonderful opportunity to hear from the student scholars of Northeast Elementary School, who will share the joyous sounds of the holiday season via video. We would like to thank Principal Dr. Pauline Collins and her staff for the great work that they are doing in preparing the students to share their joy with us this evening. That's it?
Yeah.
All right, so let's finish it for them. Come on and join me. You put your elbows in, you put your elbows out, you put your elbows in and you shake it all about. You do the reindeer pokey around. That's why it's all around. Reindeer pokey, all right. Challenging with our technical aspects on tonight, but nevertheless, we are appreciative. They hung out late last night at their holiday night. And so tonight they shared with us via video. 2 nights out for our youngest scholars would be a bit much. At this time, we are going to be sharing in the joyous season with our vocalist from the high school. Tonight, we have joining us Kazima Mwakio, Tiffany Asbell, Aurora Morales, Valerie Luis, Caleb Rivera, Khalil Price, Naomi Chavez Duran, Destiny Harding, Christopher Sutter. We would like to thank them for joining us and thank Principal Stevens for preparing them under the direction of Dr. Fran Fernandez, our Director of Fine and Performing Arts.
You a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings to you wherever you are. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now bring us a figgy pudding. Now bring us a figgy pudding. Now bring us a figgy pudding. Now bring some right here. Good tidings to you wherever you are. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We won't go until we get it. We won't go until we get it. We won't go until we get it. So bring some right here. Good tidings to you wherever you are. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. On a cold winter's night, down was so deep. Nowhere, nowhere, nowhere. Only
Thank you so very much. We certainly enjoyed you sharing your gifts and talents with us during this holiday season, and we continue to wish you well in your endeavors. Thank you for joining us on this evening. At this time, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Lane, will give us a brief overview and presentation of some of the work that our wonderful committees have been engaged in over the course of since school has begun. And so tonight, you're going to hear a little bit about our secondary course catalog, about digital literacy software applications, and we would like to thank her and the committees for the outstanding work that they have produced. Dr. Lang.
Thank you, Dr. Talbot, Mrs. Johnson, and trustees. Tonight, I would like to, as Dr. Talbot indicated, I would like to provide a brief overview report regarding two subcommittees of the Curriculum Advisory Council, the Professional Development Committee and the Digital Literacy Committee. Under the able leadership of Dr. Fran Fernandez and Mrs. Patty Deek, the Professional Development Committee has been hard at work since early July. Their tasks are numerous, beginning with the planning of the 3 superintendent's conference days, including the evaluation of all professional development workshops regarding their effectiveness. They are also responsible for the annual, again, we are a title district, and therefore Title II requires an annual survey of the staff. And that not only is that a difficult task because they have to administer the survey, but in addition, they must tally the results and determine the courses going forward for the year. And finally, they're every 2 years, they're responsible for reviewing, updating, and perhaps changing the professional learning plan, which is presented for the board's approval tonight. It is, I think there are copies to the audience too. It is the Professional Learning Plan 23-24, 24-25. It is done every 2 years, and I'm pleased to announce that they are continually updating, fine-tuning the documents so that we hear the teachers' voices and make sure the changes are reflected in the professional development. There is a major change that I would like to bring to the trustees' attention and also to the community's attention. And that is that annually our teachers are required to earn 18 hours of professional development credit. And we have noticed over the last few years that many of our teachers are truly committed learners who go way above and beyond the 18 hours. We have teachers who earn 40 and 50 hours of professional development each year. So the committee, and endorsed by the Curriculum Advisory Council, determined that going forward, we would like to add a badging system for silver, gold, and platinum teachers, publishing an honor roll of learners on a quarterly basis. And in addition, we would like to offer an opportunity for our teachers to become our trainers. Who better than to teach but our teachers? So you will find, I'm sure you have read it, in the proposal that the learning, that is the major change that we are asking you to adopt tonight. Plus the minor, it's not minor, but we continually want to make sure that the communication loops are closed, and the professional development committee worked incredibly hard last summer to make sure that on a quarterly basis, we're publishing the opportunities for our teachers. And we hope by next year to eliminate the 30-day waiver so that teachers have an opportunity to select from courses early on as opposed to a week or two before when we just come up with some ideas. So we thank the trustees for considering approval of that plan. Secondly, the Digital Literacy Committee, again, under the able leadership of Dr. Pauline Collins and Mr. Tim Quinn, have also been hard at work. And tonight they present an update to the Curriculum Advisory Council list that was given to you last spring. That update includes the names of software. And tonight, on the back of the sheet, you will also notice the procedure that the Digital Literacy Committee has put into place. They have been absolutely wonderful in trying to clean up a rather unusual system that existed prior to the Digital Literacy Committee. And that was that any teacher, any administrator, basically, I think any person, had the opportunity to put a software app onto a list and somehow get it ordered and paid for. When I came back again, I was absolutely amazed that the software list had 252 names on it, some of which cost $3,000 and yet had only 7 or 8 users. The committee has done a yeoman's job in terms of cleaning up that list. And every time they ask you for an approval of a new one, they are very cognizant of the redundancy factor, and they inform both Mr. Iavino and myself of which software apps are to come off the approved list. On the backs of your sheet, you will see the process that's used. It begins with any teacher or administrator asking for a new piece of software, and it goes to the building leaders, to the department chairs, to the instructional supervisors, to the directors, and then finally, those individuals get together with either the elementary principals or the secondary principals and complete a Google document. Following that, it begins its journey through the Digital Literacy Committee, and at that point, they are responsible for ensuring that all software apps are Education 2D compliant. In addition, they order trial subscriptions, and they do the pilot, and they determine it's the software effectiveness, and then they recommend to Curriculum Advisory Council. And then once Curriculum Advisory Council adopts and forwards to you, it would then go to the Office of Curriculum and Instruction and the Office of Data and Technology. So I'm very, very, very pleased to present to you with the update tonight. And finally, the other piece of information that I would provide for you is the secondary course catalog. As you know, this is an incredibly long process that begins the minute you adopt and approve the course catalog. We begin again the next year's course catalog. So you will notice that in the course catalog, there are requests for new courses. This year, we are asking you to approve a new business course, which is on page 29, social media marketing. We are asking you to approve a new English course, English 12, an elective on page 35 called Social Justice in Literature. Also, an English elective called Once Upon a Crime that will be offered in conjunction with the forensics elective in science. In physical education on page 43, there is a new proposal for the PE leadership course. In social studies and on page 71, we're asking you to help us with adding another Syracuse University Project Advance course called Economics of Personal Finance. And finally, I am thrilled to say that the course you approved last year, the American Sign Language 1, is so popular that we, that by the way is on page 80, we are asking you to approve American Sign Language 2. So that you understand the system. The courses were developed from a survey given last spring to the high school students to determine what their interests were and what they would consider engaging classes. And it is very, very important to announce at this point that because we are adding courses to the catalog, it does not mean that we are adding staff. Because in January, our students complete the course selection forms. They are taken out of their English classes and they meet with their guidance counselors. They fill these out. Those course selection forms this year will be mailed home by the end of January to the parents. So the parents are well aware of what it is the students, their children have picked. But again, the courses only run if the students select them. So and traditionally in all high schools and middle schools, we don't drop courses because we want to be able to offer them to the students, but then not necessarily do they run. They must run with a particular number in each course. I think that completes my brief report, unless there are questions from the trustees.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Lang?
Thank you, Dr.
Not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lang, and thank you to the committees who have done such an excellent job in bringing us to this point in our curricular programming. And that would conclude the superintendent's presentations on this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Talbot. At this point in time, we'll take community input regarding board agenda items only.
Good evening, Wendy Canestro. Wait, I forgot my piece of paper. Do you want it? Sorry, first I want to say that I got a bunch of texts. People couldn't find the link for this meeting. I mentioned it to Christian. He said it's in the board docs. It can be found, but I'm not sure why it's not on the main page readily available. That's the first thing. I see these 4 trustees, which is pretty slim. I know it's a quorum, but there's another reason why there should be 7 trustees. Some questions. The audit committee minutes, you provided minutes, but I didn't see any minutes from the audit committee on there for us to review. I didn't see it in that packet. Is that in there and I missed it?
It's in the back. So Christian said it's in the back. So just.
Okay, okay, I'll look at that. That will be posted, the minutes online as well as the other minutes?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I noticed that you mentioned all these great, first, the kids did a great job. I want to say that. Excellent that you got this NBA player to be a volunteer assistant coach. Great for the kids. I think that's fantastic that he's giving back to the community. I see his appointments in here. As far as the course catalog that you just mentioned, you mentioned all these electives, which sound great. And you said you're not going to add any new staff. You're cutting personnel through attrition. The business teacher resigned. You're eliminating the class for the rest of the year, but yet you're adding business for next year. I don't know how that makes sense. Also, the last thing is the district clerk consultant. I brought this up at the last meeting. You appointed a new district clerk to start January 2nd. You've had this district clerk consultant since he resigned. He began in November. The business official is the deputy district clerk. You now have somebody starting January 2nd. The district clerk consultant is continuing till the end of February. 2 people to help for 1 role, even though I'm sure that she's more than capable and has all these resources available to her. This is exactly the overspending, reckless spending that got us in this position right now, that you were warned by auditors not to overspend. And whether it's a small amount or a large amount, it all adds up, and it added up to $3.6 million of my tax dollars out the window. So I really hope that you don't go ahead and appoint this and approve it, because again, that's a waste of my tax dollars. I mean, would you hire a superintendent to follow the superintendent to help them? Would you hire a business official to follow another business official? Would you hire a social studies teacher to follow another social studies teacher? When will the board stop recklessly spending and overspending? And by the way, I guess your contracts didn't go so well with all the teachers here. You have no money for that either.
Any other questions regarding community input regarding board agenda items?
I just,
So moving forward, can we go to agenda item 2A1 through 3, please? Excuse me?
Margaret Shop, Amityville. So my question is regarding the agenda item 2C-/1. So my question is, as an independent consultant, is this individual receiving any kind of benefits regarding health, dental, any of those type of things within his stay here as an independent
No.
consultant? None at all.
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2A1 through 3, please?
So move.
Jeanette Santos is first.
Second.
Dave Hella is second. Any questions regarding these items? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2B1, please?
So moved.
Carol Seehoff is first.
Second.
Jeanette Santos is second. In regarding to this particular agenda item, the policy committee did not meet. This policy was created by legal counsel, and it was a very short notice that this policy had to be implemented and put in place. The Board of Education did receive the policy last week on Friday, and we had an opportunity to review it. So does any board members have any questions regarding this particular policy? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2C1, please?
So moved.
Jeanette Santos is first.
Second.
Carol Seehoff is second. Please note this consultant agreement is only per diem as needed, even though the contract states that it will go into the end of February. If his services are not needed, he will not be called in to be utilized. That's number one. Number two, there's very limited hours. I will monitor the hours. If the new clerk needs him, then we will reach out to him. That's number one. The Board of Education is very much aware of all the resources that are available to a district clerk. The district clerk will go to the different trainings, will reach out to other district clerks here on Long Island for support, and also reach out to legal. So we just have it in place if needed. If it's not needed, it will not be utilized. Right? So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. I'm just going to pause for a moment because I would like to introduce our new district clerk who will be starting on January 2nd. So this is Melissa Dernan. So if you want to stand up. So welcome, Melissa. Thank you. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3B1 and 2, please?
So moved.
Second.
Dave Hella is first and Jeanette Santos is second. Any questions regarding these two agenda items? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion to amend the agenda to add agenda item 3C1, change order number 1?
So moved.
Jeanette Santos is first.
Second.
Carol Seehoff is second. And can I have a motion to approve agenda item 3C1? No, I made a motion to amend the agenda to add 3C1. Can I have a motion to approve agenda item 3C1, please?
So moved.
Jeanette Santos is first.
Second.
Carol Seehoff is second. I just would like to read the resolution. Change order number 1, be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby approves change order number 1 dated November 3rd, 2023 to the agreement between the Board of Education and Honeywell International, Inc. dated July 2nd, 2022, and authorizes the board president and superintendent of schools to execute change order number 1 and related documents to take those steps necessary to implement the energy performance contract dated July 2nd, 2022 as modified by the change order number 1. Ms. Hutchison, is there anything else that you want to add to this?
No, just for purposes of clarification,
Just speak a little bit closer to the mic. Thank you.
just for purposes of clarification, the district had to undergo a project at the middle school to address concerns about regarding a steam leak. And it was an emergency, that had to be addressed right away, but it was also covered by the energy performance contract. So the amendment really has to do with removing that from the scope of work so that the energy performance contract is a fully formed document without the project that is being undertaken current.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3D1, please? Can I have a motion for agenda item 3D1, please? 3D1.
So move.
Second.
Jeanette Santos is first. Dave Heller is second. Any questions regarding this agenda item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3E1 through 8, please?
So moved.
Carol Seoff is first.
Second.
Jeanette Santos is second. Legal, all the contracts have been reviewed.
Yes, they are on our template contracts that we provide to the district.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that a motion carries 5-0? Can I have a motion for agenda item 3F1 through 3, please?
So moved.
Dave Heller is first.
Second.
Carol Seehoff is second. Any questions regarding these agenda items? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Ms. Hutchinson, do you have anything to report from legal?
No, nothing other than what we discussed during executive session.
All right, thank you. Dr. Talbert?
Yes. Thank you, President Johnson. Excuse me, and good evening once again. I am pleased to share the latest highlights from our school community. As it pertains to mentoring programs, we are in the thrust of outreach to alumni and community members who are interested in volunteering as mentors in our school district. We are receiving incredible positive feedback and excitement from interested persons and organizations. I would like to thank Principal Mary Stevens, her administrative staff, and staff members who have been instrumental in formulating potential partnerships and programs. We are excited about the engagement from alumni and volunteers, fostering a collaborative environment for our students' growth and development. In the next coming weeks and months, you'll be hearing more about our next steps. Athletic triumph. Congratulations to our girls basketball team for their victory at the Claude Bayer basketball tournament. Their hard work and dedication have brought pride to our school. And I also hear that tonight, our boys basketball team had a victory as well. Yay. Holiday concerts. We invite all of you to join us next week for our upcoming school holiday concerts. Prepare for an enchanting time filled with holiday cheer and wonderful performances by our talented student scholars. You were able to get a glimpse of what they can offer here on this evening. So let's support them next week as they just sing and bring joy to those in attendance. Holiday Learning Night. On behalf of the district office, Dr. Lang attended last night's Holiday Learning Night at Northeast Elementary School and reported it was a resounding success. Santa arrived on a bicycle. He added a special touch to the evening, and it complemented the engaging learning stations that were focused on reading, math, and science. It was a joyous and educational evening for all involved. I thank our dedicated administration, faculty, staff, student scholars, families, and volunteers for contributing to these successes. We continue to create a nurturing environment for academic and holistic growth. Thank you for your ongoing support and commitment to our school community. On behalf of our Board of Education and Central Administration, I wish you a joyous holiday season filled with love, laughter, and cherished moments with your loved ones. May the season's spirit bring you peace and happiness throughout the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Talbot. I think, I think there is also, for Park Avenue, tomorrow night concert at the high school. Yes, just 7 p.m. Yep. All right, so at this point in time, just a minute, we're going to take community input regarding non-agenda items. As a reminder for those who attend the meeting, that I always ask our Board of Education to be respectful to anyone who comes to the mic. I also ask the cabinet to be respectful of anyone who comes to the mic. I also am asking any community member who comes to the mic to be respectful to us as well, and no name calling to the board or anything like that. We are respectful when you come to the mic. We're asking that same courtesy when you're at the mic. Thank you. At this point in time, can we take any community input regarding non-agenda items? Thank you.
Hi, Wendy Canestro. First, I do have to address the fact that there's so many teachers here. Teachers are the front line of education. And you could say that you care about teachers, but if you overspend a budget by $3.6 million and you have no money to give them a fair contract, the actions show that you don't really care about teachers. At the last meeting, you read a statement about the superintendent read a statement about having a transparent process, providing clarity and how important it is to answer questions about the recent audit and the board spending $3.6 million over budget. You were going to do that with the union and the collective bargaining units. I'm a proponent of those things, but the question is twofold. Did you cut them off after 3 minutes and sound an obnoxious buzzer? Did you limit that time to 30 minutes? And why aren't you affording the taxpayers the very same courtesy of answering our questions without us having to spit it out in 3 minutes time? It's fair to ask questions. This is our money you overspent, and we should be given, we're your constituency. You should be giving us this opportunity. I come to this microphone, I ask budget questions, I don't get answers. And for any board members that might be trying to distance themselves from them overspending $3.6 million, what everybody in this audience should know is that they always vote unanimously. They can try to distance themselves, check the votes, they all vote unanimously for the overspending. I have a couple of budget questions. I'm sure you'll cut me off. It's about Infinite Campus. Through FOIL documents, I learned that this district received the implementation estimate of $192,000 in September 22. There was a presentation by Infinite Campus December 7th, 22. I asked how much it was. You didn't know. On January 18th, 23, Dr. Thales stated it was between $450,000 and $500,000. At that time, it wasn't implemented. The budget reflects you had $260,000 budgeted for both Infinite Campus and Right Way. So that's two management systems at the same time. You knew this was not budgeted for. You knew it going in. Why did you approve Infinite Campus and not wait till the following fiscal year to approve it? That would have made sense, would have saved me some money. You overspent the budget by $150,000 for supervision at post games. The district already budgets for this, as does every district. Other districts include playoff games and championship games. Why isn't Amityville doing that? If the district pays $100 for supervision, which is on the high side, if you put 4 supervisors at every game, which is overkill and you don't need it, that would mean that there were 375 postseason games. Like, is anybody paying attention here? That's impossible. You mentioned that there was $450 overspent on tan, band, and the principal of the bond. It's already budgeted for. The band is budgeted $300,000 in the budget, but there's budgeted debt service for $4.1 million. And you get a scheduled payment schedule when you do these things. It's not unanticipated. None of it was unanticipated. It's smoke and mirrors.
Thank you. Any other community input regarding non-agenda
I just want to
items?
make a comment. I just want to thank Ms. Canestro for supporting our teachers and we hear that you did the same thing in Belmore, Mara. Thank you very much.
So, please, any other community input regarding non-agenda items, please? Thank you. So, excuse me, please, board members, please. Thank you.
Gorbachev, Amityville. I was able to listen to the last meeting, and in that meeting, you stated that security costs went up by $450,000. And one of the reasons was because outside organization were requesting security. Why are you placing your poor budget decisions in overspending on the community? The school district is not a security firm. This district is under no obligation to provide security simply because someone requests it. If there's such a security concern, perhaps the district should not approve them. The following organizations has not confirmed that they have requested security: the Girl Scouts, Little League, the Youth Soccer League, St. Martin CYO Basketball League, Kiwanis, and the Rotary Club. So you're recommending something that's not needed, to the same mentality of the same costly conferences that yield nothing, yet you continue to send and spend. What say you?
We have your question and we'll give you an answer. Go ahead.
This seems manipulative and is being used in a way to justify the facility fees that you discussed and the policy committee is recommending you impose. You wanted to spend things, you want to spend money for things that aren't needed. So that's evidence number, I don't know how many on this list today. And then my other question was regarding the $110,000 3-year-old Amplify Science Kit bill that was on the agenda some time ago, or that it was dismissed. What's the status with that?
Dr. Talbot, are you able to, it was not on the agenda, that was an error, but Dr. Talbot, is there anything that you would like to add to that, or would you like to get back to that question?
It was on an agenda.
It
then
was not
wasn't,
on the
and
agenda.
it was and it wasn't.
It was not on the agenda.
Well,
It
how would I
wasn't-
know about it if
was
it wasn't
not-
on an agenda?
So just pause it for a second. So it was not on the agenda. It was an error in statement that was made when the explanation was being provided. That was not on the agenda. So someone said, oh, that's the $110,000 situation in terms of the supplies from Park Avenue. That was not the correct item that was on the agenda. Go ahead and
So
Dr.
can
Talbot,
you
would you like?
can you just clarify what you just said? So there was a $110,000 3-year-old bill with what? Or it
So-
wasn't?
Dr. Talbot said that
Yeah.
she would get back to you, to your question. Thank you.
More smoke and mirrors.
Any other questions regarding or statements regarding non-agenda items?
Nakia Wolf, 100 Avalon Court, Melville, New York. Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Talbert, and Central Administration, dedicated teachers, administrators, Amityville staff, and community members. Tonight, I stand before you with a myriad of sentiments. Disappointed, disheartened, and rage are those at the forefront. When there was a majority-minority change in the school board, as 3 new trustees were elected and another left, this was supposed to be the beginning of a new era in Amityville. A board was formed that was pro-education, student, and staff. This was a board that seemed to recognize that our salaries were suppressed and who had a plan to address all the facets that needed to be improved upon. As the board started to move forward on a path to change, they received an unprecedented amount of state funding. These monies, which unions lobbied heavily to get, by the way, were supposed to be used to address learning gaps and the mental health needs brought on by the pandemic. The extra funds were also provided to compensate districts who received less than they should have in the past. The district came under budget in the 1920, 2021, and 21-22 school years. During that time, the district, like others, was granted the ability to exceed the 4% cap relative to their fund balance. The district was in a financially healthy position prior to the increase in state funding. They should have been in a position to allocate resources to student achievement, infrastructure, and to the salaries of expiring contracts to make them competitive. The district should have been able to accomplish these while still maintaining a strong financial position. Unfortunately, we stand before you as the grants are set to expire with a $3+ million operating deficit. The district is now unable to offer a competitive proposal, and it will likely be cutting staff. All the while, some of the very monies that could have been used to address these matters were transferred into restricted funds. Throughout the negotiation process, we gave the district the opportunity to ask questions regarding our proposals. We listened to district concerns and made adjustments to our proposals and provided the district with evidence of how our plan was not only sustainable, but also how it could help the district realize savings. Despite those efforts, the only thing that closed the gaps in our proposals was when we prepared to walk out of one of our meetings. It became clear that there was a lack of understanding relative to our proposal and overall lack of transparency. This was evidenced when the district made an offer that wasn't in line with the financial situation. Why would the district, in the financial distress, make an offer that compromises what it can afford when there was an offer that was more budget-friendly, that addressed the desires of the other side with less upfront costs? This confirmed that there was an overall disconnect with who we were negotiating with. Then came the speech that we don't have money.
Francis O'Brien, 684 Bohemian Parkway, Sable, New York. Evening, Dr. Talbert, President Johnson, board members, my colleagues, community members. We, the ATA, stand here disappointed, discouraged, disenchanted, and angry with the district and the board in light of recent events. However, according to statements made by several members at last week's board meeting, the board works well together. At the end of this week, the district will have lost its 39th certified teacher since August of 2022, but the board works well together. The district is currently facing a $3.6 million shortfall based on a budget presented by central office that was reviewed and approved by this board. This deficit has the potential to mitigate any academic progress made over the last several years if the district decides to excess teachers, but the board works well together. How can the district be in this position in light of the enormous amounts of financial aid rendered to it over the last several budget cycles? My point being that the way business has been handled by this board and district simply isn't working. May I remind you that one of the goals of this board was to complete negotiations with each of its bargaining units on time. That hasn't happened, but the board works well together. As the ATA, we have asked for information for transparency purposes so we may understand the district's position. By having that information, the district would then understand the ATA's position. This hasn't happened, but again, the board works well together. Fortunately, the two sides are still talking, which is a first step. The question remains, though, now that all parties are aware that the current way of doing business isn't working, will the board listen to the ideas that the ATA has put forward? For all concerned, I hope so, for this current nightmare needs to end. But without leaps of imagination or dreams, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. We, the ATA, dream of a better district. And as Dr. Lange stated today, our teachers are avid learners going above and beyond what is required of them. We need a board and district leadership that does the same. Thank you.
Matt Grice, 85 Craig Road, Islip Terrace. Good evening. I stand here tonight proudly representing the teachers of the Amityville School District. Our negotiations team was excited to begin the collective bargaining process due to the strong financial health of this district. An opportunity existed to move Amityville out of the basement of Long Island schools so we could attract and retain high-quality teachers. We were close to agreeing on a financial proposal that was both fair and sustainable for the district and impactful for our members. Then we were informed that the monies the district should have had in surplus were gone. At a time when the rest of New York State is operating in a surplus and settling for contracts not seen since before the tax cap, we once again find ourselves as outliers struggling to comprehend how things could have gone so wrong. Not only are we being told that the district's gross misappropriation of funds means no contract, teachers will probably be losing their jobs. I find this ironic given that there's a national educator shortage and we are already severely short-staffed as we continue to hemorrhage teachers. Moving forward, one of our biggest concerns is a lack of trust. It's difficult to believe in the process when, to this point, there has been no accountability, just excuses. We are now on the brink, with things getting worse and no relief in sight. We all know actions speak louder than words. The words I hear from our members are burnout, low morale, stress, financial concerns, concerns for the future of our students. Despite this, the actions of our members show their continued dedication. Many teachers stay late multiple days a week for extra help. We have taken on 1, and in some cases 2 additional classes to ensure that our students actually have a teacher. We give up our lunches to be with our students. We ensure students are fed, spending our own money on food and snacks. And we cover classes to make up for a lack of proper staffing. The district's words tell us how much we are appreciated, as well as their continued commitment to enacting the necessary change to get this district on the right path. But we don't need words anymore. These statements feel hollow because they are never supported with action. Despite all the rhetoric to the contrary, teachers, and by proxy our students, never seem to be the priority. When things go wrong, when mistakes are made, we are always the ones who have to pay the price. Sadly, the sentiment among our members is that once again, the teachers will be left behind. Despite this, you still have the power to make a difference. The needle moves when the board moves. Therefore, I ask you to seriously reflect on how we got to this point, and for the first time in a long time, make the teachers a real priority with your actions, not just your words. Our teachers and our students need you to step up now more than ever.
Kia Wolf, 100 Avalon Court, Melville. We were asked to believe by our new superintendent as he addressed us for the first time. But what in the world are we believing in at this point? We have been losing teachers at an astonishing rate. Yes, teacher loss has been taking place everywhere, but not like here. However, it's not only teachers. Staff as a whole have left for better salaries and working environments. This all brings me back to how do we drop the ball when we are gifted the equivalent of winning the lotto? All we had to do was have the right people managing our resources. It appears that we don't have the right people. All those here and at home listening, don't be fooled by nonsense that inflation caused this. This is a direct result of poor leadership, a gross misappropriation of funds, and overall poor organizational management. How can we believe that you are committed to negotiations that would improve our bottom 6% standing on Long Island? What have you shown us to instill faith? When you started receiving indications that you were running at a deficit, why did we approve money transfers into restricted funds? Did we ask whether such an action would compromise our ability to operate? If we were told yes, then what now? All you have right now are 0 answers as to how we got here, and an unclear picture as to what our financial future holds. As leaders, you have us trending downward with little faith as to how to run this organization. Teachers have stood by you, and the union has worked to solve problems and take care of issues in-house. We survived poor COVID conditions where the health concerns of individuals were not taken seriously. We survived the scheduling disaster at the high school, starting at least 2 years behind, starting 2 years in a row with being understaffed. Then the district reorganized 4th grade despite union objection without the proper training while we were implementing new curriculum, resulting in teachers being forced to teach subjects they had never taught before or hadn't taught in years. We deal with work to keep our students safe, increased accountability and workload, while dealing with an increase in discipline issues, at times with little support or acknowledgement that these issues exist. Then when we get a little bit of success in closing huge gaps, with the understanding that we have a long way to go, we hear that we shouldn't be proud of ourselves. So where are our advocates other than us? We were grateful for a group of community members who stood up last year and urged the district to pay our teachers. However, it seemed that those voices and the fact that we have lost so many educators have fallen on deaf ears. The question is, how has listening to those who have guided you to this point worked out for you when they can't even honestly help you understand how you got here? The decisions that were made or not made with this will impact families, loss of jobs, and now the time is for action because words have lacked follow-through.
Wendy Canestro. Thank you, trustee Seehoff, for bringing up Belmont Merrick, where I served on the Board of Education proudly. They were the #1 AP school in the country, not Long Island, not the state, but the country by College Board. So that's where I'm coming from to here, which is why I've become an unwavering advocate for children in this school district and the teachers. I know what it's like to come from a district with high-performing teachers, where teachers are supported, with high-performing students, I'm sorry, where teachers are supported. Kids can do anything with the right support and where teachers are appreciated. To go back to the budget, by the way, I've been sounding the alarm for a very long time about the budget, and here we are. You said at the last meeting that health costs went up, and then it was referenced that health costs went up 40%. The Amityville School District has Empire Plan. Excelsior went up 44%. The Excelsior plan only went up 12%, about 12%. So either you don't know or you're just relying on bad information. You said the increase in charter schools is a driving factor. You overspent by $180,000. Amityville spent about $925,000 on charter schools last year. The cost per student for charter schools is $16,500. Amityville per student is $17,017. You already budgeted for the students, so there's no additional costs. These are not unanticipated costs. The money you get back from the state is minimal. I'm not sure why, like, you're using all these things as unanticipated costs. They're all anticipated and it's already budgeted for. The Board of Education, usually there's a learning curve, right, with the Board of Education. I'm going to give you that. That's why they have 3-year terms. But you're long-serving members, 6 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. The learning curve is over. Usually there's 1 or 2 trustees that will have some financial intelligence that can almost carry the rest of the board. Unfortunately, this board doesn't have anybody that's good financially, and which is why you've literally driven the district into the ground in 3 years. When I first moved here, this school board passed a budget with a 0% tax levy increase. I thought, well, that's amazing. Very rare that you see that. And instead, now we're at $3.6 million deficit. It's going to come down that you would like election time when the budget comes out, you're going to kill the taxpayers by overburdening us. You're overburdening your teachers because now you have to cut them through attrition. And you're going to overburden the taxpayers. It's really not fair. You guys have to do your homework. You can't just rely. You have to trust but verify. I mean, your central administration is overspending. They're not working within their budgets. These are your hires. These are everybody that you picked. You did a recruitment conference in Washington, D.C. for New York State teachers. You need a license here. It made no sense. I asked you about this. You sent them anyway.
Are there any other community members that have any questions regarding non-agenda items? There's one before, hold on, Michelle, before, okay, so there's one letter that may have to be read, all right? So after Ms. Shuff goes, then we'll read that letter.
Margaret Shuff, Amityville. In view of this previous speakers here tonight, I just want to address this board and have you all go to bed tonight, get on that pillow and look inward and realize the failure that you have ensued for years here now. Talbert, excluding Miss Talbert because she's kind of new here, but still, you know the game, you know the deal. But really, every single one of you should look inward and say, what in God's name am I doing to this district when you can't even have any fiduciary responsibility? You have teachers that are unhappy. You have kids that can't learn. Your stats are in the toilet. Let's hope by the next time, Ms. Lang, that we can get some numbers up, for God's sakes. But really, it's time to move on. It's time to get people in here that can do the job, change it around, and for God's sakes, get these kids what they deserve.
Any other community input regarding non-agenda items? We just need to make sure we leave time to read that statement.
Megan Messman, and I handed Christian my address. I was hoping that the discussion of the cost reduction strategies would continue this week. So I wonder if the board could speak to further analysis of the plans, particularly the freezing of non-essential items such as supplies. Could you get into that a little bit more detail?
So, Dr. Talbot, if you would like to answer the question. So there are a number of items that have been frozen that we cannot purchase, that cannot take place. Dr. Talbot can give you more details on it, but we are still looking at other things that we would need to do. So the first half, whether it's Dr. Talbot, I'll give it to her and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Good evening. So some of the cost reduction strategies, one of which is freezing non-essential spending, which is effective January 1st in the district. So non-essential is anything that it's not promoting health and safety or the immediate needs that our student scholars may have. And so in doing so, that will result in a savings toward closing the operational deficit of 3.6. Not all of it by any means, but it will contribute towards it.
Health and safety sounds like janitorial supplies, so you're not talking about like teacher supplies being frozen? Because I thought I'd heard that teachers were informed that they have a spending freeze on their supplies.
There will be a spending freeze on all non-essential supplies, January 1st.
Like paper or what supplies?
Once inventories are conducted and we ensure that the schools have what they need to adequately teach the children, then anything else other than what's necessary, someone may need the paper, someone else may need ink, but whenever those non-essential purchases will be determined and there will be no expenditures in those areas.
So just for clarification purposes, if there's materials or item that is needed in the classroom for instruction, then those items will be provided to the classroom for instruction.
Needed, those that are necessary, yes.
So the presentation from last week, is that available to be placed online that people can see what the cuts that what we have done, what we talked about, because that will be probably very helpful because there was a presentation. But once again, if you weren't here, then maybe you didn't see all of it. Is it something, Dr. Talbot, that maybe we can put online? So therefore, the community could see exactly everything again.
Sure.
And if they have questions, they can go from that and for the questions. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Okay.
you off. But
No, that's good. Thank you. So is the board reviewing the budget lines line by line and asking for estimates to complete the school year from the administrators of different buildings so that they have an understanding of what is considered essential for the remainder of the year?
Yes, conversations have been had with administrators. Ongoing meetings are still taking place with administrators to discuss all relevant items.
Okay. I heard that the middle school was considering those pouches that you put cell phones in and it locks, and so the kids can't be distracted by cell phones all day long. Is that true?
There has been discussion about the pouches. Do we have a status update on that, Ms. Buati, in terms of if those had been ordered already?
Yes, they have been
previously?
ordered, and it is my understanding that we are working to, they are in, they are in, so we just have to, we are working on the logistics.
So I think that sounds wonderful, but was it budgeted for this year when you're looking at freezing supplies for the remainder of the year? I was at the budget meetings last year. I don't remember discussion of that.
So Dr. Talbot, is this something that's coming from the current budget? Is this something that's going to, because I know it was something that was discussed. I was not aware that it actually had been ordered already, so. So is it something, we just need to get more, thank you for the question, but we need to get more information on it to find out exactly when was it ordered, where was it ordered from, and go from there. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and then I guess also, is it district-wide or is it?
When the discussion came before the board, it was going to be for the middle school and possibly the high school, but I know it's going to start in middle school. So it was, yeah, the original part was for the middle school, and if it worked, then possibly to the high school.
Okay. Is the board still pursuing the lawsuit with the state to keep the Warrior name?
Yes, we are part of the lawsuit. As of right now, we're still waiting to see what's going to happen. We got some updates last week in regards to the mascot. We know that Massapequa has been assigned to a Brooklyn court. We're assigned to, several other districts, myself assigned to a Central Islip court. And what the law firm is trying to do is to actually, as well as the judge, to see if they can all be merged together. So therefore, Brooklyn is not waiting for Long Island and vice versa. So right now it's on a standstill.
Okay, thank you. And I asked the question because of the, financial deficit. If you were gonna continue to spend money on attorneys to fight to keep but you have not changed that.
No, and either way, it may cost us, because if we have to comply
Mm-hmm.
with the regents, then we will have no choice but to then change everything. And we're
Right.
hoping that we don't have to, because if we don't, it'll be less money than actually changing everything.
Okay, thank you. Has the middle school project been estimated at this time?
Dr. Talbert?
I will defer to Ms. Buansi regarding that question.
We're still working with the architects to come up with the final design. And after the final design is put together, that's when we get the final estimate. The word is final estimate.
So you do have a probable construction estimate from the design firm,
That is what was used for the budget, probably, yes.
and it hasn't been updated?
Because it takes a long time for
Okay.
the.
I understand. I actually am an engineer,
Yes, I
an
know.
engineer consultant, so I have a hard time believing that you don't have a construction cost estimate. Okay. I did hear something about a change order 1 and pulling out some scope from Honeywell, so that project scope was reduced a little bit. Is it a possibility to reallocate some of that funds or is that because it's capital, it's not?
It's part of it, an energy contract. So what happens is that the savings that we get is the savings that occur when things are implemented. Let's say, I'm not saying this is going to happen. Let's just say we're going to change all the windows in Park Avenue. I'm not saying that's going to be it, please.
No, that's a
But
lot of money.
if we changed all the windows in Park Avenue hypothetically, then the energy savings from that is what will be used to defray any cost for the changing of the windows. So we're not expending any money to do it. So the
But
savings
that's
come,
just the Honeywell piece, you're saying?
yes, this was started back in 2022.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. I know I'm running out of time. I was gonna ask too about the Infinite Campus, but I know Wendy already spoke to it. Why was there a cost overrun of $190,000 for Infinite Campus?
So we have that question, and that's going to be responded back to.
Okay. I also want to follow up too, and I think Margot spoke to it, the bill from 2020.
The 110?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Those are questions that will be responded back to.
Okay, so I guess lastly, you didn't speak to the vacancy, and I did express interest in the vacancy. So,
Thank you.
okay.
Any other comments regarding non-agenda items? Go ahead, Christian, why don't you read that statement there?
Hi, good evening. Danelle Cronin, 32 Mill Place. Happy holidays to all of you. Quick question I had asked during the previous meeting was the cost of the unfortunate fire. Has there been a cost that's been submitted? How much did that unfortunate incident, how much is the cost for the repair and for the cleanup?
I just make sure that you pause it. I know that one of the questions I think you also did ask if it was covered by insurance, and it is covered by insurance, but the cost of the actual damage, do we have that number? Is the insurance company still, do we have a final number from that?
So I know that the business office, did you receive the email? Okay, so we need to confirm your email address because we did in good intentions try to respond to you. But Ms. Buatsi, is there any additional information we can provide
Do we
to
know the
her
final
tonight?
cost?
Yeah, the work renovation was arranged between the insurance companies directly and the renovation company. And so we are only responsible for the deductible,
And that is?
$10,000.
Thank you. And a quick question, in reviewing, listen, I know it's a hot topic of going over budget. It was presented last time. I feel like it's a little lack of thunder, but I'm going with it. The over budgeting for the certified nursing assistants of a cost of $128,000. Can you inform me where on the budget I can find that the district hired certified nursing assistants to work in the district post-COVID? What budget line would that come from? And how many certified nursing assistants were there? And what was their responsibility?
So the budget, just was the budget line.
It was presented last week that we were over budgeted. I think it was
Right.
almost $130,000. I'm just wondering
No, I'm just-
where in the budget, the certified nursing assistants, how many, what were their responsibilities in 2022, 2023, long past COVID? In full transparency, I was a school nurse for 22 years. We didn't have certified nursing assistants. That was on me. So I'm just curious to know how we could have saved $128,000 and what was the initial contract for, how many,
Mhm.
and what was their responsibility?
Okay. Thank
If you
you.
can get back to me, I would appreciate that. Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays to all.
Thank you. Christian, just can you read that statement, please? Ms. Sharp, can you hold up because he needs to read this statement that came in. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. This comes from Lance Sinatra, Union President for CSEA Buildings and Grounds. Good evening. As President of the CSEA Buildings and Grounds Union, I wanted to take time to address the concerns facing our members as a result of the misappropriations of funds by the district. We, like the teachers and administrators, are without a contract for this school year. We have not even entered negotiations yet, but based on the information that became public last month, we have serious doubts that this district is willing and able to provide what is needed in order for our members to have a fair contract. Our members are dedicated workers who come to the job each and every day to ensure that buildings are clean, school events are properly set up and broken down, nighttime and weekend events are taken care of, and we are always the first ones here when there is inclement weather to ensure that the district can open and be safe for the staff and students. We are an essential component to this district, but consistently feel undervalued based on our low rate of pay and lack of urgency to make these necessary changes. Despite our low pay and current lack of a new contract, we have always had the ability to make extra money through overtime and supervision hours. Now we are being told that to save the district money to make up for their mistakes, our overtime is being cut. The additional events we are needed at are not decreasing, but we are expected to cover more ground and work harder without the additional help we have always had. Supervision hours are being cut as well. This is hurting my members' opportunities for additional wages to make up for the shortfall in their base pay, while simultaneously asking us to do more. While all of us are being asked to sacrifice, I wonder if those who are the highest paid employees in our district are planning on making sacrifices to their salaries, or if the expectation is that it should be just the lowest paid in the district. We all led to believe that this year would be different, an opportunity to start moving the district in the right direction. With a budget surplus and additional state foundation aid, we would finally be taken care of. Instead, we were informed the money is gone, cuts are coming, and once again, we are the ones who pay the tolls for the district's mistakes. I can only hope that the school board and central administration hear what we have all said today and take a serious approach to identifying the factors that caused this financial catastrophe and work towards fixing it ASAP. The same people who caused the financial catastrophe are now asking us to put our faith in them to fix it. These practices are substandard, not only for Amityville, but state and nationwide. This needs to be remedied. Otherwise, it's the students and staff of this district that will continue to suffer. And Board of Education, I will send this to you via email tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding non-agenda items? We only have 10 minutes left, so before you get started, it's only 10 seconds left. So the question that I have for the Board of Education, do we want to extend the community comment time? So I'm putting up for a vote because do you want to extend community input time? Because we can extend it or we can end it at 30 minutes. So
Extend it for how long?
we're
I
gonna
mean,
go
what,
3
10
minutes?
I
minutes?
would just give it 3 minutes.
All right, 3 minutes. Okay, I just have to ask. I just have to ask.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Margaret Chuff, Amityville. So I have a question regarding these cell phone bags, and you claim that they have been ordered. At what tune were they ordered? What is the cost of those bags?
So that amount, that question was asked, and that's the information that's going to get back. We're going to provide the information back, was how many and the amount.
Okay, I didn't hear that. And just if you can, what if it's $5, it's $5 too much as far as I'm concerned, knowing the budget constraints that you're under, because a $9.99 vinyl shoe bag that can be hung on the wall will hold 40 cell phone bags at the front of the classroom. They put them in the bags and they walk out with a phone. You don't need an individual single bag at a cost of anything for that exercise. It's absolutely ridiculous. And regarding the fire that took place, you said that the district was only responsible for the deductible. What was the amount of the damage?
That was a question I think that was posed, and they're going to get the correct number out. So we'll get that.
The amount of the damage less the deductible, obviously. Okay. And was the, what was the cause of the fire and how did that go?
Dr. Talbot, do you want to speak about the cause of the fire?
We can forward all of that information.
Okay, yes, all the information will be provided to you in regards to the cause of the fire as well.
How
Nope.
is it going to be afforded to me? Forwarded to me?
Forwarded to, I said forwarded to you.
Via email.
Via email.
We'll respond
Okay.
to you via email.
Very good. And at the top of the meeting, President Johnson, you ask us to be respectful and so on and so forth. So I found it quite utterly disgusting that Trustee Seehoff had a little snarky comment for one of our community members who is actually a very instrumental part of this community and actually calls out many things that are completely wrong. And I find it disgusting that you can sit there and
So
disparage a
I think,
community member
Ms.
when you
Seehoff-
start
Ms.
every meeting
Ms.
asking us to be respectful.
Board,
Mrs.
please.
Shuff, I
Ms. Carroll?
merely thank Ms. Canestro for
So,
supporting our teachers. So once again,
That
please
was
do
one
not
part of the comment, but it was
exaggerate,
the
because-
snarky part that we
Okay.
caught most. Yeah.
so
I
thank
didn't
you.
know
What
what-
day
I
was-
have no
what's
idea
not-
what you're
what's
talking
not-
Yeah,
about.
I do.
So thank you very
Oh.
much. Any other?
So I
community-
guess you know more than
So,
we do.
Regarding, please, board members,
Yeah.
please, let's not get started. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:48? Have a motion to adjourn at 8:48, please?
So move.
That's Jeanette Santos is first. I need
Second.
Juan Leon is second. All those in favor? Aye, motion carries 5-0.
Even the drunken sailors.